it's verbatim as it was told to John Lee. And John did these extraordinary interviews of many older cat men in 1979 and 1980. And this is one of the stories, and it's set in the late 40s when, of course, male homosexual sexual activity was criminalised, and after World War II, the constabulary were very, very vigilant indeed. And they were monitoring, prosecuting, and imprisoning people. And this is one young man's story, as he told it to John, and I think it is very poignant. It must have been about 1947. I was still 16. I was working and living with my parents in the city. I had a very good friend that I went to school with. We'd go to the movies together. One night, he had a friend who wanted to go with him. This particular friend walked me home afterwards. He was older, about 21. And standing in the lane at the back of my parents' house, he said he wanted to whisper something to me, and he kissed me. I was sort of taken aback. I didn't know what had happened. And then he kissed me properly. And it sort of set off a chain reaction in me. We started to see more of each other. He made the arrangements to meet. He would never come to my house. I would say we were going together. He took me to different things. I was quite petrified, really. I didn't mind being with him, but when I was thrust with others at 16, I didn't know what to do. One day, he took me to the lampshade shop. I will just interrupt the story here. The lampshade shop was a shop in Rundle Street that had become rather infamous. It was run by a very colourful man called Bert Edwards, who was also known as Big Bertha, and they used to have outrageous camp drag parties there, and it had come to the attention of the police. One day, he took me to the lampshade shop. He actually took me there twice. The first time, there was what they called a camp wedding, which was really quite funny, doing a sort of a send-up thing. It was held in a lounge room upstairs with about 30 people. The second time, the place was raided. We got through the back gate, which led to the east end. It was padlocked, and we had to squeeze through a small space and rush off. I was working at Alan's music store as a cashier. One day, the police arrived and they said they wanted to have a word with me. They took me down to number 1 Angus Street, the South Australian Police headquarters at the time. They browbeat me, kept saying words to me, confusing me, and ultimately got me to sign a confession because I said, if I sign, can I go home? And they said yes. I'll remember that till the day I die. And of course, once I'd signed it, I didn't go home at all. I remained in the lockup until the trial took place, and I was sentenced to 12 months hard labour, and I'm still 17. The charge was buggery, but they had no evidence of that. No one caught us in the act of doing it. You see, they went over and over things all the time until I became so confused. My friend and I had written letters to one another. Although we didn't live far away, I kept his letters and he kept mine. I had all his letters in my bottom drawer, and they kept on until finally they got it out of me that I still had the letters. There were details in them, the way we felt about each other. I more or less had to confess to committing buggery because there seemed no way out. He was also arrested. There were 18 of us, if I remember correctly. Some of them got light sentences, but he and I, and 4 others, I think, got 12 months hard labour. We were taken out to Yatala, and the first day we were out onto the goods trains unloading wood. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to live through this 12 months. So it's a very poignant story, isn't it? He did live through it, of course, thankfully, but it shows the tenor of the times. The trial actually occurred in 1950, so that's what the police were doing, and how they pursued people. And a young man had to serve 12 months imprisonment because of that over-vigilance by the police.